Hi, and thank you so much for joining me today for One Sketch Three Ways, a series that I take part in monthly with my lovely friends Jackie Ashton and Helen Ding. Their channels will be linked below, along with a link to the Facebook group where you can see the sketch and play along with us. We had an album each month, and these sketches are all there for you to use and create with whenever you feel the need. So you can see I've started with some mixed media, which is definitely my favourite way of starting a layout, on a white paper background. I'm moving the central line on the sketch over to the left a little bit, so I'm doing almost like a quarter of the way across the page rather than half a way across the page, and I'm just using distress oxides to create that line in 3 or 4 different colours. I started off with a pale one, I think that was Scattered Straw. Then I moved on to a slightly more orange one, which is gosh, what was it? I need to look on my shelf. It was dried marigold. I've also used a bit of fossilised amber, I think, and then this final one I'm coming in with is aged mahogany, just to deepen everything up a little bit. That dried marigold is quite a peachy colour rather than orange, so I just wanted to bring in a darker colour to even that out. So I'm just using the packaging technique a little bit, and also just dribbling water onto the paper, and then I left that overnight to dry. I did that last night before I went to bed, and then this morning I came down and started again. So I've grabbed my directions stamp from Hey Little Magpie, and I'm just using one of the diagonal stripes to create a big bold strip down the middle of that watercolour, if you like, the mixed media, I suppose. So I've used the stamp twice to get that lovely long strip, and then I'm adding another strip to the right, again just adding it, overlapping slightly at the bottom, so that I get a nice long line. Now those joins are going to be covered by the photos, I'm not too concerned about that. And then I decided to go in with one of the other arrow type strips to add a little bit more to the piece, and I'm using my archival ink so that I get a nice crisp outline, and it also stays there if I add more mixed media, which I do towards the end, so it's not going to bleed at all. So here I am just with that arrow, just adding another long strip down the centre, and then I'm adding a little bit to the bottom left and a little bit to the top right. I also decide that I want to add some going horizontally underneath the photos, so I'm just using one of the photos as a guide to work out roughly where I need that line to be. So these photos are of 3 markets that we did for James in November. It was the 16th of November, and he'd inadvertently booked on 3 markets. James doesn't drive yet, so he relies on me and his dad to take him to the markets, and Amelia helps as well. So we, in the end, luckily, one of the markets was in Warrington, so we got my dad to drop him off at that one. Amelia and I went to one at Salford Quays in Manchester, and Ross did one solo in Liverpool at the Bombed Out Church. So it was quite a busy day. It was also a bitterly cold day, and it was raining when we all set up, but it did clear up luckily, and it was a fantastic day in terms of takings in the end, so it was well worth doing the 3, but it was a lot of hard work, definitely for Ross and James, getting all the stock ready. Amelia and I just said we'll do it, but we just want to drive there and drive home and not have to worry about doing the stock and things. So the boys were brilliant, they got all that sorted. So I'm using my autumn kit. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that a month or so ago I put together an autumn kit using 49 Market products from their Vintage Orchard, which is this year's collection. And last year, and the name escapes me, but it was last year's collection as well, which had more pinks in it. And I just mixed it up and made one big kit, and that's what I'm working from today. So first of all, grabbing that beautiful teal paper to add as the first map behind the photos, and then this one is definitely from Vintage Orchard. I think it was called Art Options Spice. That's right, Art Options Spice was the collection last year. So just scuffing the edges with my Tim Holtz Edge Distresser just to get that lovely distressed look around these photos, and then sticking that down onto the second mat. I didn't cut it down to size. I'm just going to use my scissors to trim the excess off the left hand side there. And these papers have got beautiful colours on both sides, so you'll see most of the time I flip over the piece that's been left over and stick that on as an extra layer. So you can see there it's a darker green on that side. ATG ran out, so I just had to go and change that. I could see it was running out, but I thought I might just get one more video out but no, it ran out, so I just had to quickly go off camera and sort that out, and then I'm back to it. So as you can see, just adding that scrap down to the left, and then I'm going to bring in one more mat, which is a beautiful rusty orange there. So again, I trim a big strip using the mat with the photos on as a guide, and then I'll just cut off the excess, and once again flip that over to the lovely green leaves and use that piece on the mat as well. So you can see I offset each of the layers, and that's what Helen's done in the sketch. If you look at the sketch, each of the layers behind the 3 photos are offset against one another. I really like the look of that. It just provides a bit of interest to the eye. So once again, just scuffing up all those edges with my Tim Holtz edge distresser, and then bringing that last piece in. Now at first I add it to the left, and it does look nice there, but when I put it onto the layout, I just feel it's pushing the photos a little bit too far over to the right for my liking, because I've got my focal point on the left-hand side rather than in the centre. I wanted the photos to be more to the left-hand side as well, so I'll just peel that off, and in the end I add it to the top, just as another layer there. So there we go, that's the basic block, and then I'm just bringing in some bits and pieces that I pulled out of the kit. So this is cut from one of the border dies from Hey Little Magpie. It's the notebook and torn paper edge, but then I decided I want to add some stenciling before I go any further. So this is where I bring in that fossilised amber, and I'm just rubbing that around on this Vicky Bootin stencil. I think this is from the Discover and Create, maybe? I think it's from the Discover and Create collection. Beautiful stencil. So first of all with the yellow, and then I'm bringing in spiced marmalade to add a little bit more of a deeper orange, and just dotting these circles around the page in no particular order, just pulling that design out slightly in the middle and then tapering it towards the points at the top and bottom. And because these flowers are all the same, it doesn't matter which one you use, just sort of using one and blending it across the page. There we go. And I've always got that guide at the bottom to decide where to put this mat, because I've stamped that horizontal line. So just going to glue down this die cut piece. It's just die cut from black cardstock. If you've watched my videos, you'll know that's one of my favourite ways to die cut things. It really adds a stark contrast to the other colours that you've got on the page and makes the colours pop. So I tore that in the middle just to make it a little bit longer, so that it spans more or less the 12 inches of the height of the page, and then sticking those back down. And then I've got these notebook pieces. Again, these are die cut from scraps from my kit. So from 49 and Market papers, and I die cut a load of those, and I've just got them sitting in my kit, so I thought I'd use some of those on this page. So I've got a couple at the bottom, and I'm going to bring that orange one into the top, and then I've got that lovely green film strip, which is from the Art Options Spice film strip frames, packet acetate film strip frames I think they're called. So there's that orange notebook that I die cut. Again, it's a Hey Little Magpie die. They're fabulous. I designed them, so it sounds very conceited, but I really do like them very much. So I was trying with this frame, again from the film strip frames, but I just couldn't get it to work at all, so you will see me pull that off shortly. In the meantime, I just want to get everything glued down that I've got in place, because I'm very happy with where it is. So just starting with the acetate, so starting with the bottom layer basically, and then working my way up. So first of all this acetate, and then I shall work on those notebook papers. Just bringing that down a bit. I didn't want it right to the very edge of the page. These, I do have a bit of a problem with them. Trying to work out exactly the height that I want to put them at, so they do get pulled up a few times before I'm happy, but I get there in the end. And then I've got this lovely burgundy or purple film strip frame that I'm also going to add there. So over the top of the green one, and then under that notebook paper. So still not stuck those photos down yet, so I really need to work on that soon. Lost the orange one, but remembered I was supposed to have it at the top here. So that's just going to go to the right. I try it on the left there, but decide to put it to the right of the film strip frames. Still trying to make that frame work on the right hand side, but it's not on my layout now, so I do pull it off. So I think I'm finally happy. Yep, so I can get this main block stuck down and then carry on embellishing. Now on Helen's sketch it says about using a long title, and I've decided to have a play on the 4 seasons in one day phrase, and my title is going to be 3 markets in one day. It always makes me want to sing whenever I say that. But it was, the weather was pretty much like 4 seasons in one day as well. But it was tough doing 3 markets in one day. So there that frame goes. I do put it in this cluster in the end. So keeping everything tight together in that vertical line. And the clusters, Helen's got 3 lovely clusters around the sketch. If I didn't mention, it's a sketch that Helen created for us this month. But I decided to just be a little bit more free, shall I say, with my interpretation, and the clusters just sort of happen naturally because I've got that big cluster at the top and the big cluster at the bottom, and then I do have a small cluster to the right hand side of the photos. So I'm just using this book plate that says remember on that photo of Ross's stall. So it's Ross's stall is first, and then that's James in the middle at Woodlands Pub in Warrington, and then Amelia at ours on the right hand side. This was also the first time that we had James's banners and hoodies to wear, which was great fun. So you can see James with his and Amelia with hers, but Ross was on his own, so nobody could take a picture of him. So just adding a little tab there to the right that says the little details, and then another label behind it just to add interest. So that's the start of that cluster on the right hand side there. And I've added that tag at the top that says 4 days, which I really liked. So now just going through the Art Options Spice laser cut pieces just to see if there's anything here, and I find a beautiful pink leaf I'm just going to add to the bottom of the page. I think about adding it to that right hand cluster, but it's just too big, so it just sits there. And then just looking to see what else there is. I find this green ticket, so that's going to go onto that cluster on the right hand side here. So it's just a very small cluster. There's not a great deal to it. There's not a lot of room there really, and the photos take up most of the real estate on the page, so just adding a tiny bit of interest there. And then a lovely pink butterfly at the top just to bring that pink around the page a little bit more. And then a purpley one there on the right hand side. And I love the shape that that's creating on the page as well. Just softening those lines really. So some twine through that tag at the top. This was just a little offcut that I had left over. I think it was from an S-Box kit. Some of the twine that Jackie had put in the kit. And then these are some older thickers, foam thickers with like a wood grain on them that I really enjoy. So I decided to use those for my title. And as I say, that is 3 markets in one day. And look at how beautifully that fits along there. So I'm just going to add a couple of dots of glue just to hold that twine in place. And then I shall add a tiny bit of journaling. I don't need a lot of journaling on this page, but I did just want to explain where we were and who was where, just so that we remember in years to come. So I'm just writing who, like I say, who was where. And then a tab at the top. This is just punched using my EK Success tab punch, and that will hold my date. And I'll just roll a date stamp that onto some white cardstock. There we go. Using my archive link pad. And then just cut that out and glue that onto the tab. And then I think that's very nearly done, just a few more little bits. So while I'm doing this, please do check the description box down below. Go and give the girls some love. Thank you so much, Helen, for this fabulous sketch. It's one that I will definitely come back to again. I really enjoy working with that. I've seen their interpretations. They're brilliant. So do go and check them out. Join our Facebook group. Everybody's really friendly there, and it's lovely to see how everybody else interprets the sketch. And we will be back next year now with a new sketch. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you soon. Bye.